In fact, you didn't just pop up going to LA Fitness at 6 in the morning. This is what you were doing. This is who you were, in 2020. This is who you were in 2016. This is who you were, in 2022. You see what I'm saying? Track it. Or as y'all love to say, clock it. You need to track it as well. Because a clock can be, even a broken clock can be right twice a day. But when you track it, that's the truth.
5 shows made 3 million a week. You are now looking at the bestie elite. You are now looking at the bestie elite. You are now looking at the best.
Welcome and welcome back, besties. I'm Lola Shell, and together we're becoming the best, aka our best selves, this year and every year. The best are never the best by themselves, and you shouldn't be either. If you haven't already, join the best here on YouTube by hitting that subscribe button, and add a bestie of your own, okay? Like and share this with someone that you want the best for. Now, grab your water, and let's go. Today, we're tackling creating the reality of being your best self in 2025 in only 8 steps. It's one thing, of course, to want to become your best self, but if you don't create an environment and a reality that supports that, it's so easy to fall back into who you were before this year. So if you haven't already, make sure you have a pencil and paper, save this, share this, you know the drill. Let's get into tip number 1. The first thing we're going to do to create the reality of being your best self in 2025 is to tap into who your best self is and write it down. I've told you guys this so many times on this channel, but word to Erykah Badu, write that down with real pencil and real paper and watch it get real. So often we have an idea of who we want to be in our heads. And then we get really confused when we try to become that person out of our heads without having written down what was in our heads. It's like knowing where your grandmother's house is and trying to get there by walking, okay? But if you've only ever gotten to your grandmother's house by riding passenger in your mom's car, then trying to get there by walking is a totally different experience. And if you've never written down any directions and you haven't been to your grandmother's house in like 10 years, then you're setting yourself up for disaster. And it sounds like a dumb moment when I give that example, but for some reason it doesn't register as a dumb moment when you say, I'm gonna be my best self, and then you haven't written down what that best self is. So that's why we have to start tapping into that first before we do anything else. Before we try to change any other element of our reality, we need to do ourselves a huge favor and write down what we have in our head. I don't care if it's just on a loose leaf sheet of paper, a little tablet. I don't care if it's with a crayon, a pencil, a pen. It doesn't matter. Just write it down on paper and get it out of your head, because the easier that you make conceptualizing your best self, the easier it's going to be to execute it. Hopefully that made sense. So by writing it down, you're taking the load off of your head, like your brain, to constantly think about what your best self is, because you have it on paper. You can just look at it. You can just put it in your notes on your computer, put it in your notes on your phone. You now have it somewhere else outside of your head. And just like any problem in the world, once you've written it down, you're already halfway to the solution, because now you actually know what your problem is. Once you've written it down, you're halfway to who you really want to be, because now you know who that is. All right, with that, let's get into point number 2. Once you've tapped into who your best self is and you've written it down, the next thing you need to do is see the gaps. See the gaps between what you wrote down and who you are right now. If you wrote down that you work out 5 days a week, and right now you don't work out at all, that's a gap. If you wrote down you have a smoothie every single day before 9 a.m., and right now you have no fresh produce inside of your house, that's a gap. If you wrote down, I'm going to make $100,000 this year, and you have never made more than $30,000 a year in your life, that is a gap. It is okay to have gaps, because you're going to build a bridge from where you are to the reality that you want to create for your best self. You cannot create a bridge if you don't know where you are and where you're going. So it's okay to have a gap, but you have to be able to see where you are in comparison to where you're going, so you know the steps you need to take to bridge the gap. You get it? Okay, now let's actually go through what's the process of bridging the gap, because I already hear y'all. It's just like, okay, you're saying these things, but like, what are we doing? Don't worry, I got you. Once you see the gaps between where you are and where you want to go, it's time to pick the top 3 gaps. I know what you're saying. Why would I only pick 3? First of all, okay, let's not play pretend. The dream you, the best version of yourself, the reality you want to create is probably drastically different than where you are right now. Lie to yourself, don't lie to me. It's probably drastically different than where you are right now. And chances are, you picked a reality that has more than 3 gaps. You are changing things mentally, spiritually, environmentally, like where you live or where you work. You're changing things about your mindset, your education. You're changing things about your physical appearance. There are so many categories where you're probably trying to change things in your life to become your best self that if you were to try to bridge every single gap at the same time, you would burn out. And it's honestly why so many people quit on Quitter's Day, which is the second Friday of every single new year. It's the reason why so many people quit, because they are overwhelmed. They're trying to go from never working out to working out 5 times a week. That's the equivalent of literally having woke up from a coma, haven't used your legs in God knows how long, and then you go run a marathon. It makes 0 sense. Your body needs to adjust. Your body has a training process it needs to go through in order to get you to that end result. Do you see what I'm saying? A lot of you guys are trying to full sprint and you haven't even stretched. And then you pull a hamstring and you're out of the game. Okay? Now it's going to take you another year, another 2 years, another 3 years to create this dream reality of yourself, because you are trying to bridge every single gap and you don't have the materials for all those things. You're only one person. You only have so many resources. And it's not saying that you can't bridge all these gaps. You just can't do it all at the same time. So when you pick 3 of the gaps you want to bridge, pick things that, and this is just my recommendation, you ain't got to follow what I say. Okay. I'm just giving y'all what works for me. Okay. I normally try to tell people to pick something that you can bridge the gap in 24 hours. Okay. Pick another gap that you can, typically, right? I know, celebrations. You can typically get to celebrate closing the gap in like a month. You know what I'm saying? Like 30 days, realistically. Okay, because remember, you're still working your regular jobs, you're still going to school, you still have everything that's on your plate, your current reality. So picking something that you can do in 24 hours, picking something that you can do in 30 days, and then picking a gap that might take you a quarter, so 90 days, those are the things that I normally recommend. And I recommend these because they're an easy way for you to get really quick and easy wins out the way, so you can gain the momentum to keep going. You see what I'm saying? Like, instead of you saying, hey, I'm going to, again, going back to the gym, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week and I don't go to the gym now, you could say, hey, I'm going to get a gym membership. You can get that in 24 hours, okay? It could be $10 at Planet Fitness, or it could be, $1,500 at Equinox. Whatever you want to do, you can do it in 24 hours. Another layer to that is you might say, I want to improve my personal style. That's something that you can do in 30 days for sure. You can, get rid of stuff that's in your closet over the course of a week. You can style the things that are in your closet as they are over the course of another week. Get yourself some sets that you put together, some go-to outfits. You can make sure that, you're accessorizing more. You can take your time with that to really see what your style is in your closet. And then the following week, you can go on a Temu spree, Amazon spree, go to your favorite small boutique, shop local, whatever you want to do. Give yourself a budget, go out and shop, okay, for key pieces that will elevate the style that you are trying to have and have the base of in your closet. And then you put the final touches on in the last week. Those are 4 weeks where you went from 0 to accomplished on a goal. You see what I'm saying? Like, and the same thing to be said for, when you're doing something for a quarter. You just break these things down, and instead of them being so large and so, unsurmountable, you give yourself goals that will get your momentum going so that you have positive reinforcement in what you're trying to do in your life and in the reality that you're trying to create. Instead of trying to go for a goal that is way beyond what you have the capacity for right now and then getting discouraged on everything else because you trying to bridge that gap isn't working out the way you want it to. Make sense? Now that you got your top 3 gaps, the next thing you want to do is make a list for each thing you can do to bridge that gap. So we're just going to keep rolling with the examples I've been giving you guys. So the gym, right? Say that's one of the gaps that you want to bridge. You can actually write down what would it take for you to go to the gym 5 times a week, right? Would you need to go in the morning, before you go to work or school? Would you need to do something low impact like jogging at your local park because you don't want to buy a gym membership? Is it doing at-home workouts by joining a program that's online? Write down the steps that it would take you. Do you need gym clothes? Do you need workout clothes? Do you need new sneakers? Do you need an Apple Watch? Like, write down what you need to do to bridge the gap. Is it starting with working out once a week? Is it working out 3 times a week before 8 o'clock? What do you need to do to really get that gap bridged? What are the steps that you need to do? And just write it down. It doesn't have to be perfect. Write it all down, get it out of your head. And you know what I said when we started this? When you write it down, the problem is already halfway solved. Because guess what? When you see all the steps that are necessary, you can actually start to put them in an order that works for you. And if you decided that you want to choose, your gaps in the reference that I gave you guys, with one that's 24 hours, one that's 30 days, and one that's a quarter long, this process is really going to help you to see how to repeat these wins in the long run. Now that you've got a list for all things you can do for each of the 3 gaps that you're going to bridge, you're going to pick one thing to do a day to bridge each of those gaps. So going back to personal styling, if you wrote down that for those 30 days, you're going to have to go through your closet, make sure that your clothes fit by trying them on. You're going to throw away things that are tarnished or torn, or, you said you was going to fix it and you didn't. You're just going to throw them away or donate them. You're going to go through and actually see what still speaks to your style. And then you're going to try on all your clothes and make cute little outfits from them. And you're going to match them with accessories. And then you're going to, go scroll on Amazon to find some stuff, find some people who influence your style, who have the style that you want to have, get some celebrity inspiration. Like, once you've written all these things down, right, it might sound like, oh, there's so many steps. But what you would do is you would literally look at that list and say, hey, is there one thing I can do daily that's going to move this forward? Right? So looking at personal style, the one thing you might do a day is make sure to dress up in your personal style. Wow. Right? Because every day you can't just throw away clothes or donate clothes from your closet, right? Every day you can't just match the accessories to every single outfit that you have. Like, it would be a lot. But deciding to dress up in your personal style every single day, that's something you can do daily. That's going to move the needle forward, because the more you are working on your personal style, the easier it's going to be to see that and make that the default every single time. And remember, whether it's working on your personal style, making more money, working on your fitness, working on your spirituality, working on, learning a new skill, there's always at least one thing you can do a day. The goal for you is to figure out what that is and then to actually do it. So that even if you're not doing the big, heavy lifts for your goals, you're still doing something to move the needle forward. Make sense? Now, if the tasks seem too big, break them down to smaller tasks and do those. All right, what do I mean by this? I'll give you an example for me. Learning Spanish. I live in South Florida. A lot of people speak Spanish here from a lot of different dialects and a lot of different places. And I go to a lot of Spanish-speaking countries when I decide to travel. So for me, learning Spanish is something that would work for the line of work I'm in, because I model full-time and I model in South Florida, and it would just open me up to more opportunities. It would open me up to connecting with people in my area a lot more. It would definitely help when I'm traveling. It would open the world up more to me. So it's just such a great thing for me to want to do inside of my personal development to be the best version of myself, because the best version of me is bilingual and soon to be trilingual. Okay, so that is a goal that I have. For a very long time, I would, pick up Spanish speaking courses and tutors and all these things, and it would just feel like such a heavy lift. And so I finally got this app called Language Transfer. And it had lessons. It had 90 lessons that would really teach you to be proficient in conversational Spanish, which is really the goal, right? When I started out with this, I told myself, hey, I'm going to listen to one lesson a day. Sometimes lessons are 5 minutes. Sometimes lessons are 15 minutes, right? Either way, it's not an undoable task. But sometimes I'm tired. I'm a human. I just don't want to listen to Spanish right now. I don't want to feel stupid inside of this lesson right now. I don't want to put in the effort to be uncomfortable right now. And so that went from, me only listening to a lesson, that really kind of took me from listening to a lesson every day to, I don't want to do this right now. I normally listen to my Spanish lessons when I'm driving somewhere and I'm not driving somewhere today, so I'll just skip it. I'll drive somewhere tomorrow and I'll listen to it then. To, this lesson's too long and I don't want to do it. And then I slowly start to see myself just shy away from doing the work necessary to actually bridge the gap between where I was not knowing Spanish to where I want to be proficient in Spanish. So what I did is I took the goal of listening to a Spanish lesson every single day to listening to 2 minutes a day. Two. And I told you guys about that method, the 2-minute method. I told y'all about that method. If you want me to break it down again, drop 2 minutes in the comments below so I know you guys need more of that. And of course, I shall provide. But telling myself that, hey, all you need to do is listen to 2 minutes of Spanish. You don't have to get the prompts right in there. You don't have to answer correctly to everything. You just need to listen to 2 minutes of Spanish a day. That's it. That's something that's like no excuse. It takes the pressure off of, I gotta sit down, I gotta understand what they're saying, I gotta make sure that I'm translating it right, I gotta make sure that I answer before the student who's in there answers. It took all that pressure and it reduced it, because all you're doing is listening for 2 minutes. If you get it right, great. If you don't, it's okay, because you listened for 2 minutes. And the more you listen to something, the more you start to remember how certain things go, the more your brain remembers, when you say something like this, or when this word pops up, or when it's used in this sentence, this is what it means. It gives you more of an opportunity to still move the needle forward, even if it doesn't look like much. It's more than nothing, okay? And like I told y'all on many other videos, put the points on the board, okay? 1 adds up to more than 0 every time. Every time. So once you've broken down those tasks, whether you kept them the same or you broke them down to smaller tasks and you've been doing these, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to document the task you complete daily, okay? There is something, and my significant other, he always talks about this so much. Are you tracking it? Are you writing down what you're doing? Did you track it? How did you track it? Oh my gosh. He's big into the fitness space. It's a whole thing. So for him, tracking is how you actually physically see what's happening, even when you don't physically see it. So when you are training your body to lose weight, get muscles, etc., sometimes you don't see the efforts that you're putting in. So if you don't track it, you will be tricked when you look in the mirror and you don't have the chiseled physique that you want. You won't realize that you just lost 30 pounds. And if you were tracking, you would realize, even if you look the same, the weight that you just lost is there because you tracked it. Same thing with putting points on the board daily. It is so easy to forget. It's so easy to forget all the stuff that you've done. It is so easy to forget what you have done, the points that you have put on the board, because they're not major lifestyle shifting and changing things. It would be so easy for me to feel like, I just woke up one day and decided that I now go to the gym every single day, Monday through Friday, at 6 a.m. It would be so easy for me to be like, yeah, that's what I've always done. If I had not recorded the fact that I started with doing workouts in my room on a yoga mat, that's where I started. Random times of day, just workouts in my room on a yoga mat. Whether that be a 10-minute circuit on YouTube. Then I started doing the little hit routines on YouTube that would be 15 minutes, so no excuses. Then I found this 30-day YouTube challenge that I did, and then I finally got outside and started running, and I started doing miles. I started walking miles, then jogging miles, then running miles for time, and then I was like, you know what, I feel really great. I should start lifting things, lifting weights and doing stuff with machines. And so then I went to Planet Fitness, okay, after hopping around and working out with my guy friends, at several different gyms for like a year, I finally had the confidence to go to a gym on my own. And I was at Planet Fitness at 11 o'clock in the morning. And then sometimes it'd be at 5 o'clock at night. And then sometimes it'd be 9 in the morning. And once I got comfortable there, I was finally able to say, you know what? I want to start my day with the gym, because I don't want any more excuses as to why I wasn't making it, because that's what I saw other people at the gym starts to happen. You know, life gets busy. They don't show up and they just stop coming. You know, I've lost quite a few gym partners like that. And so I then made the decision, hey, I'm going to start my day with the gym. And so now I'm at Planet Fitness at 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning. And then I realized, like, hey, you know, I work a lot of modeling jobs and normally have to be on set at that time, and I don't want to sacrifice my workouts. So let me get up even earlier. And now it's like I'm at the gym at 8 a.m. And guess what? I've done everything I can do at this gym. I need to go to a different one. So I get a bigger gym with more things that I can do as a workout. And now I'm at LA Fitness and I'm there at 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning. And I'm going to get, you know what? I'm going to make this a sunrise thing. I'm going to start my day before the sun comes up at the gym. And that way, after I'm done my morning routine, after I go to the beach, I am at the gym. And if I had not documented the things that I was doing daily, if I had not made it a point to write down in my daily planners, in my journals, what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be, if I didn't put those things down day in and day out, I can go back through like old journals that I have. I have them in like storage because, maybe one day a memoir. But I can go through and look at where I wrote down, go to the gym, run at the park, go to the beach, run at the beach, do a workout with with some of my guy friends, go and do this fitness class at your gym. I wrote these things down. I tracked them. I made the intention and I did it. And even though I didn't start looking like I look right now, until I got to the Planet Fitness phase where I was like, okay, I'm starting my day at the gym, and I was there at 9 and 8 in the morning. I didn't start having this type of physique until that point. That was after years. That was coming from working out in my room to Planet Fitness in the morning to start my days. That was over the course of years. What you guys see now on my social media, at Lolachel, Lolachel on Instagram. And what you guys see in my workout videos, even here on YouTube, I didn't just pop up like that. I did a lot of the things that I'm telling you guys in this video up to the point of tracking it. That way, even when sometimes I don't feel like, I'm making any progress, I can go back and look and say, in fact, you didn't just pop up going to LA Fitness at 6 in the morning. This is what you were doing. This is who you were, in 2020. This is who you were in 2016. This is who you were, in 2022. You see what I'm saying? Track it. Or as y'all love to say, clock it. You need to track it as well. Because a clock can be, even a broken clock can be right twice a day. But when you track it, that's the truth. We've talked so much about creating the reality of being your best self in 2025. We've gone through 7 steps, including tapping into who your best self is and writing it down, seeing the gaps between who you are and who you want to be, picking those top 3 gaps, okay? And then making a list for each of those things that you can do to bridge each of those gaps. And then, of course, picking one thing a day to do to bridge each of those gaps. And remember, if the task is a bit big, break it down into smaller tasks and do those. No excuses. The last couple things I said were to document the tasks that you complete daily, also that you could end on this one, okay? And that's to watch your reality change. Watch as you see the life that you said you wanted for yourself manifest, come to fruition, become your actual reality. Like I was telling y'all, I took a long time to tell y'all, but just like I transformed into the person I am at the gym now over the course of years and constantly making adjustments, constantly pushing myself, constantly, creating bigger goals and then using the same process to get those goals and then rinsing and repeating just at bigger levels, you can do the same. Seeing who I am now, I play tennis. I ain't never played tennis in my life. I play tennis. I go to Pilates, okay? At my gym, I'm in the sauna. I do reset days, okay? I swim. The person I am right now, leaps and bounds. The reality I'm indulging in right now, leaps and bounds. Okay? And so for coming from somebody who done this reality shift several times in my life, I want to pass on the knowledge to you. And I want to challenge you to not take my word for it, but to do it yourself. That's all for today, besties. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and comment your best tip below. And remember, the best is yet to come. See you on the next one.